Chris,
Here.
Anya,
Here.
and Michelle.
Here.
I make a motion to consent the agenda.
Second. Chris,
Yes.
Anya,
Yes.
Michelle.
Yes.
Okay. I have to ask, Anya, did you second that?
Yes.
Your voice is down just a moment.
Report from the Mulhall Fire Department.
They've been out today, this afternoon. I don't know when.
Discussion, consideration, and possible actions in regards to budget expenditures for September 2024.
Looks like we got the roof paid for,
Yes.
and they finished it up in like one day.
But yes. They came back today and took pictures, and I asked them about the downspout and the guttering. The downspout had all the white coating in it, so I wanted to make sure the guttering wasn't clogged. And they cleaned all that up that was out there on the ground.
Oh, good.
Yeah. I mean, you can tell there was white stuff coming out there, but it looks a whole lot better.
Okay, good.
So before we move on to B, I'll have Mr. Spencer explain our OG&E franchise. Us, the crowd.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Spencer Brown. I'm with OG&E. The reason I'm here today is just to kind of go over the franchise agreement that we have with the town of Mulhall. We have an agreement every 25 years, so the last time an OG&E Community Affairs Manager was here was back in 2000. Pretty much the agreement that we have is the city allows OG&E to produce, distribute, and transmit electricity within the city limits. So the best way that I can say it is, if it goes to a vote, the vote would be you guys pretty much granting OG&E permission to produce, transmit, and distribute electricity, also allowing us access to the easement, to our equipment. So in the event something was to happen, for example, if someone hits a pole and electricity goes out, we don't have to wait until this city opens and go through the process. We can access and get everyone on as quickly and safely as possible. So that's pretty much what Fred's been in place for decades. And I always like to kind of also say, you know, when people think of a vote, they're like, well, okay, what's our alternative? It's not another electric company. It's not anything else other than what I said, granting us permission to access our equipment and produce. And in return, the city gets franchise fees. So 3% of the gross revenue of what we collect, we give to the city for them to use accordingly. And then also, we grant the city free electricity to, I don't know where you guys can put it on any municipal building, the fire department, this building, and so forth. So that's pretty, and then also in your packet, I have a fact sheet in there, and in that fact sheet it shows what the city has been granted over the past years, so the past 5 years. And that's pretty much all I,
We're just gonna keep on keeping on.
okay, is that what you're saying?
That's what you're saying.
Yes, we would love, yeah, there's nothing more, nothing
That
less.
was here in 2000 when we done this the other time, so.
Correct.
So how much is 3% from all the citizens on the franchise that the city gets?
Let's see. So for example, so I have this from January 1st, 2023 to June 30th of 2024. The amount was $6,769.55. On average, I guess I do have the average, that's a great question. So on average, from 2018 to 2023, the average annual amount in franchise fees remitted back to the city of Mulhall was $5,928.
I'm a numbers person.
Yes.
I'm a county manager, so I
You know what, I
like
can
to
let you look at that.
know. Thank you.
So trustees, I would really highly consider a yes vote, or to pass the resolution, so that way,
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Spencer?
All right, thank you.
Appreciate it, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. So moving on to B. Adopting an amended ordinance number 2024-1, granting the Oklahoma Gas and Electric Company a franchise for the installation, operation, and maintenance of an electrical distribution system in the town of Mulhall, and the selling of electricity therein for a term of 25 years.
Okay, Chris, does that say 2025 or 2024?
2025-1.
Okay, thank you. You said 4.
Oh, sorry.
Well, just making sure, I didn't listen up.
So I need to make a motion. So I'll make a motion to accept the proposed ordinance.
Second.
Okay. We're gonna, Anya,
Yes.
Michelle,
Yes.
and Chris.
Yes.
And I have another question. So
Yes.
the franchise fee thing, is that just paid out once a year? Or is that on a monthly or?
I believe we pay it annually.
Yes,
Annually?
Yes.
it's yearly.
Okay, and so then that money just, I guess, goes into a savings for things the city needs?
It goes into the account, the cash account.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
So moving on to C. Adopting a amended resolution number 2025-1, calling and holding an election in the town of Mulhall for the purpose of granting a franchise to Oklahoma Gas and Electric Company for the installation, operation, and maintenance of an electrical distribution system and the selling of electricity therein for a term of 25 years. I make a motion to accept that proposal.
I'll second. Michelle.
I saw you.
Okay.
Thank you. Anya,
Yes.
Michelle,
Yes.
and Chris.
Yes.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Safe travels.
Have a good year, buddy.
Moving on to D, adopting ordinance number 2025-2, an ordinance for the Town Board of Trustees of the Town of Mulhall, Oklahoma, amending Chapter 1, Article 1, Section 1-1 of the Mulhall Municipal Code entitled Election and Terms of Trustees and Officers, providing for the election of the 2 additional trustees at a special municipal election to be held on January 14th, 2025, and staggering their terms, providing for, got that word, please. Repeal, thank you. Repeal, savings, codification, serviceability, effective dates, and declaration of declaring an emergency. I'm making a motion to accept that proposal.
Anya,
Yes.
Michelle,
Yes.
and Chris.
Yes.
Question. Explain what that just said.
Basically, we're gonna have a special election in January for you all to vote to expand the board to 5 members.
What's repealer?
I'm just assuming that's legal speak.
Savings. This is what Bryce had put in it, right?
Yes.
Okay. So we don't know exactly what all that means, but it's the law.
But we could have it maybe rephrased where it's in English that regular people can understand.
But you still, it has to be.
It has to be
legal.
Well, I understand that, but it would still be nice for us to understand what all the legal stuff is.
I agree, but maybe we'll have like a asterisk.
Okay. I just think what he said was right. What does it mean?
Any other questions
And
on,
that's just basically saying that in January for election dates, so that's a normal time, right, for election?
14?
It'll be on the ballot for us, the citizens to say yes or no to move, correct?
that's what I understand, yes.
Yes.
Is the 14th a general election?
No,
It's a special.
So we pay for that one. Okay.
So why can we not do it with like the election of the president coming up? Do they?
Time frame is too late.
They want it 60 days before.
So when's the next election that we wouldn't have to pay for, that we could put it for
We have to pay for printing on all of them.
anyway? Okay. I was just trying to save some money.
Yeah, no, most of the money is print.
I've got another question. If that's on a general election, we don't have to pay the whole bill.
We have to pay the printing.
Huh?
We have to pay the printing of our stuff.
For our ballots.
For our ballots.
Okay.
So that's the only other fee there is.
It's not included with the general election. It costs us no more to do that in a general election than it does to call a special election.
No, you always have to pay the same for the ballot.
Okay? Okay. That's what I didn't understand. Thank you.
We pay for the ballots, we pay for all the publications.
Right.
And pay the wages of the election board, the election officials that come.
So
Would we have to do that
No,
otherwise?
they pay us a rental fee.
Mhm.
The election board pays them.
Okay. So
Even on
we're-
the special election.
So I'll make a motion,
Yeah, we have to make a motion.
We
Oh,
did
we
on
or
did.
that.
set it.
Oh, you did?
No, yeah, we already did D.
We did
Now
on
we
D,
need
but
E.
we're to E.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's
no
what I
questions.
My apologies. Moving on to E. Adopting resolution number 2025-2, a resolution authorizing the calling and holding of an election in the town of Mulhall, state of Oklahoma, the town, for the purpose of submitting to the registered qualified electors of said town the question of approval or rejection of ordinance number 2025-2 of the town, which would provide that the governing body of the town consists of 5 trustees rather than 3 trustees, and staggering the terms of the new trustees, all as more specifically set out in ordinance number 2025-2 of said town, and continuing other provisions relating thereto. I make a motion to accept this proposal.
I second.
I have a question. I have a question. When that says registered and qualified, that means only residents that live within the city limits are qualified to vote on that, correct?
If they're a registered voter, yes.
If they're a registered voter living within the city limits.
And if I understand correctly, they have to be registered for the town of Mulhall, not like
You can't live out.
Stillwater or Guthrie.
Right, they have to be registered here as a voter in the town of Mulhall, and they have to live within the city limits to vote on city issues.
Right.
Amy,
Yes.
Michelle,
Yes.
and Chris.
Yes. Appearances. Miscellaneous.
I have a couple things. First off, are we gonna do trick or treat on the 31st? Like normal? Okay, so trick or treat on the 31st. The second thing I have is, I've heard the term unincorporated town in the last few months. And like, what if Mulhall were to become an unincorporated town? So I did a little bit of research, because basically I wanted to know, and I think it's important that everybody that lives in town knows, because this is gonna affect us all. So how we would become unincorporated is if we ran out of money, we can't pay for our services, can't pay our people, you know, can't maintain town anymore. We would fall under the county commissioners. They would be responsible for maintaining our streets, and we've all driven on county roads. Maintaining our streets, our sewer and water. So,
Electricity.
well, I didn't know, because OG&E and Lee and Gas, we pay them out separately, so I just assumed that would.
Well, we wouldn't have street lights.
Right. So with the street lights, and I spoke with somebody who lives in Lucene, because Lucene is an unincorporated town. So here's what I found out. First of all, we lose our post office. And everybody would have a mailbox at your house, and the mail would be delivered from another town.
Guthrie.
So, I don't know. So but we wouldn't have a post office. So if you needed to ship something or get stamps or whatever, you're gonna have to go Guthrie, Stillwater, Perry to do that. Next, we wouldn't have trash service, because that runs through the town of Mulhall. So in Lucene, what happens is, They have 4 dumpsters that sit at their town hall. The townspeople are responsible for getting their trash down there, and it gets picked up from there. Now, for a 2-person household, because this person I talked to, there's just 2 in our household, pays $180 a month for that trash service. And then it goes up based on if you have more. If you have a bigger house, the more people you have in your house, the more money you pay. So the other thing is with the sewer system, we wouldn't have any town employees to maintain the lagoon, the lift station, all of that. So we, as residents, would be responsible for putting in septic systems at our homes. That's how that would work. So, and then, because you don't have a board, you don't have a clerk, the town would no longer qualify for grants, like the grants that we get to buy the tractor, or to make improvements at the lagoon, or whatever. Yeah, we would no longer qualify for grants. And like she said, with the street lights, you would pay for your own street light.
Like
So,
through OG&E.
I assume.
I assume it would be on your bill.
Yeah. So also, there would be basically, somebody could buy the property next to you and come in and put whatever they want. Maybe they want to put a feedlot, or maybe they want to put a grow house. Well, because you don't have a town, you're not a town, so there's no ordinances stopping them from doing any of that stuff. So, lawn maintenance. In Lucene, the citizens do on a voluntary basis to mow in the town. So we also have the ballpark. There would be nobody maintaining the ballpark because the town maintains the bathrooms and Virgil does all the mowing. So I don't know what would happen with the ballpark and then the lights, but I'm sure it would be a whole different thing. Now, the other thing that could happen is the county commissioners, they could raise our property taxes to cover the cost that they've incurred to maintain our streets and everything that, that we currently have going on. Also, if you live in an unincorporated town, not your property taxes, but the value of your home decreases. So think of towns like Meridian. I mean, there's this article out there, Ghost Towns of Oklahoma. Meridian's on that because they became an unincorporated town and there's nothing there anymore. So the other thing and the last thing is our school would not receive federal funds. So how long would our school last without federal funds? Now the kids in Lucene go to school at Covington Douglas. The kids, if you live in Meridian, you go to school at Coyle. So I saw over the weekend, somebody posted on the Mulhall community info page, said they lived in Louisiana and they were going to be moving to this area next spring or something. And they wanted to know, they're looking at Mulhall because I think they have family, they said they had family like in the Edmond area. So they're looking at Mulhall and they're like, what do you like best about Mulhall? What's the best thing? And the overwhelming comments on that was the school, because we do have a great school system. We're ranked in the top 20 in the state, and we're one of the top in Logan County. So I want everybody to think about that when you hear somebody say, I wish we were unincorporated or a desire to be unincorporated. I want you to explain to your neighbors what that means and why that's not a good idea and why we sit up here every month and look at the money that we're spending and that we're being wise and good stewards of it, because that's our responsibility. So, and I know that in this town, when push comes to shove, everybody always works together. But I do not want the town of Mulhall to fail on my watch, honestly. So I want everybody to have that information. And I want, if you hear somebody saying, they wish we were unincorporated or whatever, please tell them that that's not a good idea.
I like a list of that.
Well, I wrote it all down because I just looked it up on Google and talked to some other people. So anyway, but We've talked about doing a mailer. We may do a mailer. We could post information on the Facebook page that you guys could read there. So we can work on that. But that's the skinny on if Mulhall goes broke and becomes an unincorporated town.
Well, I did a lot of research on that also, and everything you said is totally correct. And I looked up, in Oklahoma, there's a list of the towns, starting alphabetically. There's over 360 of them that are unincorporated. Some of them never even got to the incorporated stage because of circumstances when they started.
Right.
But you're correct. They lose their post offices. They lose their schools. None of those towns have their own school. Every one of their kids. Now, in our area, it would be depending on your zip code, where your kids are going to be shipped to. And I, for one, don't have no kids. I don't have no skin in that game. But I would not want to see our students being placed on buses, having to be picked up at 5 o'clock in the morning to be able to make it to school to Guthrie. And let me tell you, I'm from Guthrie, your school system sucks. I went through there 6 years of school there, and it sucked.
Well,
I wouldn't wish any kid to be in the Guthrie schools now. Now, it's gotten a little better since Sampson's been there, but the thing about it is, like you said, the county doesn't have the funds to even maintain the county roads, let alone they're not gonna care about our city roads. We're not gonna have anybody, any representation, if something comes up, we don't have anybody, a board that says, hey, we don't want that in our town, or anything.
You live in the country.
Yeah. And we don't have a way to enforce, of course, around here, it's not that big an issue, because like you said, we'll work together. If we got somebody that has a piece of property that they can't take care of or needs mowed or something, if they're truthful about it, say, hey, I can't do it, there's a group of men in this town will get together and do it, But at that point, when they have nobody telling them, your property, you're correct, your property values go down.
And your utility rates go up
And
because we have no
utility
ability to negotiate for
You
ourselves.
have no ability to
And
negotiate that.
this franchise fee we just agreed to vote on you would never get your 3% back because there would be no town to give it back to.
Mhm.
I mean, we get the franchise fee, it goes into the general fund, and that's used for town.
And that's a substantial check every year.
Yeah,
Well,
Yeah.
Well, I understood him, the city, we get free electricity to our buildings. That's correct?
We can place the money they give to us on one thing, and we use it on this building,
Oh,
correct?
Okay, but if
That's-
we're.
Right.
I thought you
Yeah,
said we
well,
would
we
check
have-
in.
We have a
Yes.
couple,
Yeah, but we get the check, but we also get a certain amount of electricity.
But if we're not a town anymore, that franchise,
Goes away.
we just become OG&E customers, independent people.
Yes.
exactly.
So that plus goes away. And,
Which I'm assuming at that point, what he was saying about their right to have their equipment on our easement, they couldn't just roll in after a storm and start fixing things without asking each
talk to
property owner.
Each property owner. The other thing is regarding the school, if Orlando wanted to build a grade school, it'd be Orlando School,
Right,
Mhm.
you know.
That's
So
what
our
I
school
would-
will all be in Orlando.
right.
And I mean, that would be one option,
That
but
would-
they may not be interested in doing that.
Well, and we're working hard to keep the school alive on 2 towns worth of federal funding. You
Yeah.
cut it down to 1 town, the school's not gonna
Yeah,
survive.
and I realize it, but it, it don't necessarily mean we'd send them to Guthrie or Perry. If they chose to build a school for the K through 6,
The
then
reality
they
of
could
that
go up
school
there.
surviving would not
But-
be high.
Likelihood of that would be slim, or surviving barely. Anyhow, no, thank you for your time.
Now, I don't want to be unincorporated, is that's what it's called? But I know a little town that the county commissioner actually gets them grants. I don't know if county commissioners to do that, but I'm not for being unincorporated, but that's what I was told. But this little town doesn't even have maybe 50 people. It's
Yeah.
a small town.
We need much fewer resources to make something happen.
And so the county commissioners work to get them grants.
It also depends on what district you live in for that county commissioner. And we all know that District 3 doesn't have any money for Logan County.
He
Well,
has
this
the
is
most
in
miles
Northwest
of
Oklahoma.
roads to maintain.
Thank you for your time to research that.
Kingfisher,
Michelle.
Payne County,
Appreciate
and
that.
about half of Guthrie is Noble County.
Chris, can I say
Yeah,
something?
and District 1, District 2 take
Okay,
anything
so
that we
somebody
have.
could get a mail out stating everything, because I heard this, I heard that, I think you need to get something in writing, have it approved by somebody that knows, not that you don't know what you're talking about.
No, but I understand what you're
every
saying.
fact down,
Right.
because somebody's gonna say, well, no, that doesn't matter. Yeah, get it in writing, get it to everybody in this town. I don't live in the city limits, but I've been in this community 57 years, and I don't wanna see it go down the pot.
Yeah.
It's been a good town.
But we need everybody outside of the city limits. to
Yes, you
feel
need
like they do.
everybody around to know what's going
They've
on,
already
to
got their
encourage
set.
people,
They've already-
hey,
yes.
wait a minute, do you know what's going on?
The people
And if we
that
do a
make
mail
that
out,
choice.
we'll send it
Right.
to every box.
And I think that would be,
We do a bulk
get the
mailing.
facts,
Yeah.
not so-and-so said this, or this is what I heard, or this is what this one
And-
said.
And like I said,
Facts.
I did a Google,
Right,
and then I just asked people that are kind of familiar with unincorporated towns. I just asked some questions about what, like I said, the person who lives in the blue scene.
yeah,
That's how I know that, because I asked somebody who specifically lives there.
right, you
So-
looked up, you got facts, basically, you talk to somebody, look, you can get the legal, okay, unincorporated, this is what happens. You wanna kiss this town goodbye? That's what's gonna happen.
That's what it boils down to.
But that's exactly what'll happen. We, like you said, we've got one of the best schools in the state. People move here to bring their kids to this school. Why would you want to ruin that?
I agree.
Why would you want to tear this town apart? Because, you know, it's just crazy. So I think we need to get people informed of what's going on. You have to go door to door knock, and I'll help you do it, because I think they need to know the facts.
Well, I
You have a question, Mr. Knight?
Yes, I do. I'd like to add what Nancy's saying. Let's ask the county commissioner to come in and visit with us at a meeting. Let's ask the superintendent of the school to come in and visit with us. And Lord forbid, we could probably get a politician to come in here and put their 2 cents worth in. I mean, yeah, let's get down to the nuts and bolts here.
And one of the things about the grant things you were talking about, and if you have somebody that can write grants and is willing to do it for free, there are a few grants that they may be able to get. But this is what it says for unincorporated towns. Grants are not provided to the unincorporated associations because they are not deductible gift recipients. Many of the grant-making funds have provisions that prohibit them from giving grants to anything that is not a deductible gift recipient, because when they give those grants out, if they're giving them to people that aren't, then they have no way to recoup their funds later on to be able to pass those grants down again. So that's why they have those rules in place. They're not gonna give grants to towns that just aren't gonna survive, for one thing.
Giving grants to people in the country.
Yeah, that's just what it is. And if you're not a big corporate, a big town, you know, we get grants, and praise God, we got Debbie fighting for us, that because we have so many new sewer, just since I've been here, in 7 years I've been here, we've had so many sewer lines repaired or replaced. We've had streets repaved. We've got a brand new tractor. We got a new symmetry system for our lagoon that has saved this town a lot of money. Just the new tractor alone, probably within 2 years, will pay for itself, even though it's already paid for, because Frank doesn't have to load his tractor up and bring it here and charge us $40, $55 an hour just for his tractor to be here plus his time. So that's what we're looking at. We lose all that, and we're, you know, and I know another little town over by Davenport, that the same thing happened to them. They had about 200 residents there. And we used to go over there a lot as kids. I lived in Chandler. Within 1 year after their town became unincorporated, they had 4 residents. One building left that was an original to the town. That was it. Same thing, you know, Meridian. We all know Meridian. We all know Lovell. So, I mean, I moved to this little old town. I only lived here 7 years.
Well, your homeowner insurance, we have a decent insurance for our houses because we have a fire department that has a high rating. Now, and that fire department is part of our town. There's a real good chance that we might lose. And I remember when we were a 0 rating, what we paid. And we have worked to get that up to about an 8 or something like that. I don't know.
10 to start out at one time.
Do what?
We were a 10 at one time. We're
Yeah,
down
we were
about
10 at one time, so we have a very high rating, and that's brought our, there's a lot of things to consider that we don't, are not aware of. We don't know how it works. But likely it's not going to work in our favor.
Now, I just have a question for Leon. On the grants you were talking about, was that actual individuals that were writing those, or was that a county commissioner?
No, he was talking about these
Most of the
federal
time, the
grants.
county commissioner, he will work with some of it, but you have to have a grant writer. County commissioner and county commissioner allowed to write the grant. That whoever's working with that county commissioner, there's a grant writer doing it, just like over at Lovell, Lucine, there's a lady over there that writes grants, but she volunteers her time to write those grants.
But then the county commissioner puts it
The
forward.
county commissioner can put it.
They work together.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They work together, but she cannot do it on her own.
No.
She has to go through the county commissioners to get approval or to get what they will maybe help with, but she cannot just do it on her own. She has to work with the county commissioner.
Then most of your major
County
grant
level
writers,
as opposed to city level.
most of your major grant writers are the ones that will deny grants because we're not a deductible gift recipient, because they're unincorporated. Because that's how these, people wonder where all these grants come from. Well, a lot of that comes from government money. But if they're giving it out to towns that don't truly are eventually going to just crumble, they're not going to give those grants to those towns. Because they got to make sure the grant money they're giving out is going to keep their places going. But, I don't know how much grant money we've received over the last 4 or 5 years, but it's a bunch.
Yeah, I would like to include that in whatever we mail out.
Yeah.
Just a number and what all we received
project
because of
has been.
those dollars. Because I don't think people who don't come to these meetings have any clue how much we're surviving on grant dollars.
Well, some years back, we had to repaint the water tower. Major expense. We didn't have to pay anything there. We was able to Water Resources Board and other things
Right.
to obtain the money. And it had to be done because it was starting to deteriorate. And there's a lot of things that we don't think about
Right.
that has to happen. And somebody, even if we unincorporated, if the county decided to take over that, if that had to be repainted, we'd see the tax.
Oh, yeah, they'll pay for
on our
everything
houses.
with
So
tax.
if
So your
$25,000
property values are nothing,
$30,000
but your
to
taxes are
do
sky
that.
high.
We're all gonna see that on this year's tax. They'll divide that by 200 or by 100 households, and that would be on this year's tax.
Yep.
So, to maintain the sewer pumps, things like that, if they chose to do that, they may not want that responsibility. They say, we don't do water systems, we don't do wastewater systems. And unless we.
Then you're drilling wells
we
and
as
putting in septic
individuals
tanks.
could hire a company to do that, and we would have to take a loan out or do something, because, we would have to pay as residents to have that maintained.
In Lucine, they all have their own septic systems out their house.
because they can't operate the lift station.
And if you don't have enough, space, you can't even put septic system.
Well, we just have to, property taxes have to come up. We're gonna have to pay as individuals to all this stuff that we take for granted. And, I mean, it have to be done. You can't all put in a septic system. We'd have to do.
Or that's how you end up with 4 residents.
Exactly.
Because the
Yeah,
people that can
yeah, I
afford
mean,
to
if
do
we
it
come
are
to
the
that,
only ones
yeah,
left.
we'd be leaving town. We'd be going somewhere.
But you can't sell your home to pay for your next one because your property values are useless.
Yeah, it's,
That's how people are in Lovell.
Yes.
And I know someone in Lovell who still owns a dilapidated trailer, still sitting there on a lot that they can't do anything with because it's not worth anything for anybody to buy.
Neither the property.
No, the property's not worth
I
anything.
just think about how many families we have in this community who, generations of their wealth is in their property here. And when something happens to this, the value of this community, those people have worked for generations for nothing.
How many water bills on Public Works, how many water bills do you send out?
About
100.
100.
100. So we're looking at 100 households that basically
Be responsible.
would share all those expenses.
Yep.
And you take 25,000 on that and divide it by 100.
I'd say half of those 100 don't have the money to do
Yeah,
that.
you're right.
I said half of those 100 don't have the money to do that.
Oh,
Yeah.
I mean, they don't. I mean, we need to, and it's not only that, but, the town could vote to do that. But now we're affecting all the rural areas because the school may fold up.
Yep.
The post office may fold up. And that's going to affect them, and they got no vote on that whatsoever. We make the decision. I'm sure we'll make a lot of friends.
I mean, if the school goes, the town's dead.
Yeah, it is.
That is the only thing that draws people to this town, and we see it on a monthly basis on Facebook. People coming from California, from Louisiana, from Kansas, from Nebraska,
Washington State.
Washington State. They're coming here because of our school. With no federal dollars, this school does not exist, and this town does not exist.
One of the schools around us we're A school, they're not Bs, they're Cs and they're Ds.
Yeah.
They're far below us where we're going to be shipping our kids to.
Thank you all for the information.
Again, I'm not for unincorporating, but if it did happen, wouldn't we just be billed for our water through rural water since they bill us for water anyway?
That's what I would assume, but I don't know that.
I wouldn't
But
depend on
I do know that every year we vote on our water rates,
Mm-hmm.
and we determine the increases. We would no longer have that control. We would be receiving utility bills like people in Perry, paying $800 a month for their utilities.
Oh,
That
the water out at the farm isn't that much on Logan County rural water.
She talked about
have some
that.
conversations with Perry residents. You won't be able to afford to live here because we will have no control over our rates.
I was over my sister's house Sunday, spent a couple hours over there, her and that. And somehow or other, she asked me, she said, what do you pay for your water and sewer over there? I said, my average bill's between $60 and $75 a month. And I thought she was gonna fall on the floor because she paid over $200 and something a month for their sewer and garbage and water. And they don't use very much water. It's just the two of them living there.
I mean, we're kind of in this little weird time capsule living here. We don't realize how good we've got it until we start looking at the alternative of what the people around us live with. Our way of life does not exist outside of this town.
And we don't, and the very, very, very most important thing I see with all this, we have no representation of what happens to our town. We don't have a board to stand up for our town and say, hey, that's not right, we don't wanna do that, let's take care of our town. Because that's the oath you take when you sit in your seat, is town first. No, doesn't matter who your best friend is, doesn't matter who your grandma is, your aunt, your uncle, who. town first, and we take care of the town. And if we don't have that, you can go up and sit at the county commissioners meeting, you can talk all you want, but it don't get nowhere.
Nope.
And I used to go to every one of Guthrie City Council meetings, but we have business. My brother still has a business. And we attended every meeting. If you think it's rough here, go up there and try to talk to them. Go up there and try to get anything. We had a gym up there. We had to go before the council. We had to go before the historical society just to put a sign on our gym. To paint, it was an old building. We went in and remodeled. To paint the exterior window trim, we had to get our colors approved. We had to get the size of the lettering approved. We had to get the color. We had to make it look like an antique sign.
Well, that's because it's a historical town.
Okay, but that's what I'm saying. If we did that, we'd have no control. We have no control.
One thing about it, it's not about each individual, it's about a community.
Community.
We gotta step out. I might be able to afford my water bill out in the country. I might be able to afford my electric bill. I might be able to afford my light up on that building out there. But if you cut it here, there's people in this town that won't be able to afford it. And it's not about us individually, it's about everybody. I look at North Carolina right now, and those people are working together, trying to help each other. They don't care who they are or what. But when you start saying, no, I don't want that because I don't like this, think about everybody else in this town, not yourself.
Yeah.
You may not like something, you may get mad at this person, but you know what? Let your pride go and say, look, we're going to work together. Like I said, I've been here almost 58 years. I am old, but you're still older than me. But you know, you've got to work together, not against each other. Because there's too many people that cannot afford some of this stuff.
They can't afford the gas right now.
Well, that's part of it, but
That's just one, yeah.
that's one thing, but you know, that's where you need to work, maybe work things out. I don't know, find some other avenue or something. Don't destroy the town. And
If we start shipping our kids off to these other towns, you think they're all gonna stay living here?
No.
No, that's
Those
why I say,
kids
the
will
school
find
goes
people
to town.
to marry in these other towns and they're gone.
that's why I say we built up so much here. Like I said, the first meeting I came to, that sign up on that plaque says, because we work together. We didn't work against each other. May not have agreed on everything, but we worked together and worked too hard to get this kind of a school, this kind of a community to have it ruined.
Well, I think that's what everybody wants, is to work together, and that's what everybody has been trying to do.
Doesn't feel that way.
Even though sometimes it doesn't feel like
It doesn't feel like that a lot right now.
you know, it doesn't help when people are called outsiders.
Okay, right there, I want that to stop. This outsider stuff,
Okay.
that drives me crazy. I was an outsider when I came here.
Okay, well,
But
that's,
people just need to get their pride down and say, okay, you hurt my feelings.
well, you
I
know,
don't like that. Suck it up and move on. Don't keep bringing up the past. Let go of it.
well, then we have a newspaper that needs to kind of let that go too, instead
Well,
of
who has
talking
the
about.
newspaper?
I don't know who has the newspaper.
Well, that's where you need to quit reading the newspaper.
You can read that.
That would be the best thing. Don't read that. Stay up there and say, okay, this is what I want. I live on my property. I'm happy. I don't
That's
worry
what
about
I'm doing.
stuff.
But the Mulhall Monitor says.
Don't worry about
outside.
it. Bury that monitor. Put it in the ground. Don't
I
read
wish
it.
it
That
was
way.
buried in the ground, because it
Well,
does
don't read it.
cause people.
Why do you read it?
Well, some people were made to feel.
Don't read it. It might make your life a whole lot better. So,
Some people were made to feel like outsiders. When I first moved here, I didn't never get that. I never felt that. But I think the reason some people feel that is because they don't want to come in and just jump in and be part of the community.
We overlooked you then.
Yeah, you overlooked me. But like I said,
Michael is there.
I've only lived here 7 years, but I spent a majority of my lifetime here because of Aunt Barbara, Uncle Dennis, Grandma Urick. I spent a lot of time up here. And it broke my heart when the tornado hit us. We closed our business for 2 weeks. Now, some don't even know this, don't remember it, because there was so much chaos. We closed our business for 2 weeks, brought our entire crew over here with trucks and chainsaws and trailers to help clear as much brush and stuff as we could, haul it back to Guthrie and Birmingham. But then when me and my wife was looking for a place to live, a place to retire, I said, Mom, I love that little town. It's always been peaceful, quiet, and the resilience that I've seen after that tornado destroyed this town. That's the kind of resilience we need to stick to. We need to stick to banding together, total, we're not always going to agree. We're going to have disagreements. I had a disagreement with my next door neighbor, but we worked through it. It's over, it's done, so that's the past. And as I'm preparing the sermon for Sunday, all of it is what Paul says to the Philippians. Forget the past, look to the future, live for today. Because none of us, not a single person in the building, is guaranteed tomorrow.
Anyway, so I just wanted to put out that information, and obviously everybody kind of knows, but we will look at a bulk mailing, maybe some information on the Facebook page, but that's just, I just wanted the information.
I think
out
that'd be
there.
an awesome idea.
I just have one more question. What did all this unincorporating, where did this come from? Because I haven't heard of it before.
There are individuals out there on Facebook that are mentioning this.
There are individuals in this town mentioning this. I've been approached more than once in the last week.
Well, how,
People have told them if we unincorporate, the state gives us more dollars, and that nothing would happen to our school, and things like that, and it's just total lies. So we just want to put the facts out so that people have access to accurate information.
and then
I heard that comment come from this meeting, not from any of the board, but one of the audience members, that why don't we just unincorporate this town?
Yes.
And that was in 2019.
Yes, so we just want to make sure people are informed, and then they can make their own decisions.
Because that would even have to be brought to a vote of the people, wouldn't it?
No.
No,
If
No.
we're broke, we're done. We're board of the county.
I mean, but to be unincorporated, you don't have to do anything, you just tell the town you don't want to be a town.
you don't tell the town
You don't have a
anything.
choice.
You don't have a
When you're
choice.
broke, you don't have any say.
There's no vote, there's no nothing.
Well, if you're not
So-
unincorporated though, you have money coming in, so.
Basically, it's like being somebody in Guthrie that lost his job, lost his whole banking account, just became homeless.
Yes. you
That's
don't
being
get to vote on that.
unincorporated.
Oh, good analogy. I like that.
Yeah.
That is very good. Sounds good, Chris.
Thank you, Michelle, for the info.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes, thank you.
And that's the most important thing, the facts, to get the facts out there.
Like I said, I Googled, I asked questions of people, and that's, I don't want to see it happen.
I make a motion to adjourn at 7:53.
We got another one.
Yes. Michelle.
Yes.
Yes. Anybody need to use the restroom?
I saw we did pretty good on the auction.
I heard the tractor is up to 7 something.
I hadn't heard a final number, but I know the last I talked to Debbie, she said, where we were at that point, it hadn't worked yet, that it was, we were probably gonna get enough to cover the electric work we need to do in the shop. So that doesn't reduce
Break
our,
down the truck, is
Tractor closed at 93.50.
93.50.
Wow.
The lawnmower went for 11.55, and the box blade, or the
Brush hog.
brush hog went for 302.
Nice.
We could have got that.
To get a little extra.
So that was pretty
we
good.
can fix the, get Virgil some decent lights,
I don't believe we got here, Bob.
And a
rebar, I don't
Yeah,
know.
right.
I don't know. Isn't that what we need to do, put in a bigger thing or something?
There is one circuit that needs to have a bigger breaker. Lighting just needs to be replaced from the old fluorescent incandescent to LED. I think that'll cover the shop. because roof was the other portion of it.
So we cover the shop expense and a little bit, and put back a little bit of what it costs us to do. That's the
Y'all shopping, I saw it. I already had money to bid on the thing. you know?
I think sometimes, I think because they're John Deere's, people are collectors of that.
Oh, yeah.
I remember when they, because I lived up there, but they, after Dennis, passed away, and they auctioned all that Hugh Johnson, and they auctioned off all that equipment up there. Oh my gosh, there was tons of people up there, and they were collectors.
There's collectors up
And they were old, they had grass growing up around them. Like where the Millers live now, was just a cemetery of John Deere equipment.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
It's the best way to describe it.
Yeah, no, you're right. It looks like,
Well, we moved there before that happened, so. So I looked at it out the back.
It's the tractors just sitting out front here.
Yeah.
I seen it the other day and I wanted to come get a picture. No, the old one.
Well, we need to sound-
Was sitting right here and it looked cool in front of the Mulhall building.
This is the ordinance.
I didn't pay attention when I pulled it.
And I've got them marked.
just kidding.
Mine doesn't tell me the number's not right. There it is.
That's sad, you can't remember yet. That's sad, you can't remember yet.
Yeah. I can.
One of those money
I know, Mom said I'm gonna speed up,
The Mulhall Public Works Authority will meet in regular session on Tuesday, October 8th at 7:58.
Anya?
Here.
Michelle?
Here.
And Chris?
Here. I make a motion to consent the agenda.
I'll second.
Anya?
Yes.
Michelle?
Yes.
And Chris?
Yes. Report on water and sewer.
There's nothing,
Nothing broke.
no, nothing, everything's working, no problem.
Report from water clerk.
I had better luck this month at collecting,
Awesome.
so I was pleased. It went awesome.
The discussion, consideration, and possible actions in regard to budget expenditure for September 2024. Any appearances? Miscellaneous.
How are we coming out on that EPA thing that we had to get the coordinates of all the
Thanks for asking. Frank has turned it in.
Great.
He turned it in, and I spoke with the OSU person, that she had called and was checking and saying, she was checking on Frank to see how he was doing with it. And I told her, I said, we've got it pretty much done. I said, I think he's about finished. So I talked to him the next day, and he had already turned it in. When I sent him the message that she had called, well, offering her assistance, he said, I turned it in. I said, yes.
One less thing to worry about.
Yes.
If nothing else, then I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Can I ask another question? What, when, on the toilets at the ballpark, were we able to get a plumber's quote?
I haven't yet.
Okay, well, I just saw that it was on here, so I
Yes.
just didn't know.
I will work on it now that I've gotten Purple Wave pretty well taken care of. I've got
Real
roof,
plumbers are hard to get hold of.
yeah, I've got the roof taken care of. So that and an electrician's next.
I'm gonna make a motion to adjourn at 8:01.
Okay.
Yes.
Michelle
Yes.
and Chris.
Yes.